so-called traditional masters of Tai Chi, and now they're being tested. The traditional arts are crap, depending on who's doing it. And you have to end it, which is very real and it's very useful. The martial arts can provide what you want.
Hi, my name is Mike Soto. I'm a martial arts coach, combatives consultant with over 40 years of researching, learning, and teaching martial arts. I want to invite you to my new video course, Fundamental Skills for Martial Arts and Fighting. The contents of this video series is based on my extensive research in Muay Thai, Western boxing, and Chinese and Filipino martial arts. In this course, you will learn some essential skills that will create a more connected and relaxed body structure that will allow you to deliver more power in your strikes. These body skills will create a more efficient way to use any offensive or defensive technique. You will also learn some essential footwork to guarantee the delivery of your techniques. These skills can be applied to enhance any martial arts practice and can greatly benefit anyone from beginners to advanced practitioners, regardless of style. Don't miss this opportunity to bring your martial arts skills to the next level.
From the top of your experience, how can you advise how to separate? I mean, it's every time this is the topic, like this is Bullshido, this is real thing. And for most of people, after all this UFC and everything, like real thing, it's only like straight punch and maybe hook. But anything else is just Bullshido. How to separate it, how to find the gold, I mean, in this pile.
Yeah, that's a good question, because recently, as you know, and hopefully the martial arts world, I'm sure that they, I don't see how you cannot know this if you haven't been in the martial arts world lately. There've been a lot of fights in China where you're these so-called traditional masters of Tai Chi and different Chinese arts that claim to have, internal whatever, this or that. They're being challenged, or even they're challenging guys that do more like an MMA style, this new breed of people that are doing more combative sports. And we've seen the results, right? All these masters have fallen and gotten beaten down south. I mean, no question, right? Embarrassingly. But so that is true, because there is a lot of foolery, a lot of like trickery in these Chinese masters that they overclaim all these kind of things, and now they're being tested. And so the impression is that, well, all that is crap. The traditional arts are crap. Chinese arts are crap. Or Japanese traditional arts are crap. Or anything that's traditional now, a lot of people think that because they're looking at it at the filter of a combative sport. If it doesn't work in MMA, a lot of people feel that, well, it's no good. It should be discarded. That is wrong and untrue. MMA has been proven, right? Depending on who's doing it, right? Also, because it all depends on who you are and what you can do, but like anything else. But there are aspects of all of these components we talked about that they're all cousins, and you can use, and just like when you see Lyoto Machida use karate moves, right? There's many different people that have used a hybrid system in the UFC that other people just don't have any answer to at the moment until they figure it out, right? So there's a lot of things that you can use from traditional training that just because they cannot fight like a combative sport person can fight doesn't mean that all they have is useless. If you get real training, not from a teacher that's claiming things and is looking to be famous, or he's a legend in his own mind. I'm not talking about those guys.
How to find it? How to find who is fake and who is not?
Exactly. There's the thing. How do you find what's fake and what's not? Obviously, through reputation, you will find out. If you go to these different countries, you'll find out people that have a reputable, for years and years of training and being met by other martial artists, even MMA instructors that have met these guys and can vouch for, well, this person has a skill that I would like to kind of do what he does. Even if he can't come and fight in a ring, it's not meant for that. It's not meant for that. Just like combatives. If I'm learning some kind of like military combatives, right? Or some kind of that basically is to overcome a person and just end them, right? Like an art of killing or something like this, very extreme, where you're just exploding. It's not about you and I having a fight and then see how what works. It's something happens, that an explosion occurs, a sudden rush of violence, and you have to end it. That's a different mentality, a different skill set than a combative athlete. I mean, a combat athlete. So there's a lot of controversy, and there's a lot of prejudice. You know, one camp is like this, one camp is like that, saying this. Well, the MMA guys, they don't care about martial art, etiquette or really spirituality or mind and body spirit, which is very real and it's very useful because that's a tool that can carry in other aspects of life that can help you with all that kind of thing. So depending on what a person's looking for, the martial arts can provide what you want. Depending, maybe you don't want to be. You're not about fighting people, but you want to learn an art that you can focus your energy into, and you feel like you're getting fitness, mental relaxation, all kind of things. It will help you. So I see martial arts when being taught by the proper teachers.
Okay, guys, don't forget to subscribe, to share the video with people that you think might benefit from the information. Make sure and like and comment. Any questions that you may have, feel free to ask, and I'll do my best to answer them.
To go back to your question, how do you find them? You have to do your research and find lots of references on people that have had a reputation for a very long time of producing results, and they can demonstrate for you, because at the end of the day, you have to be there, and they have to be willing to demonstrate how their philosophy or their art applies to something that's realistic, right? So you have to do nowadays, but you know what? That happens even in the modern martial arts. It happens on the other side too. You see people claiming to be Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts, claiming to be MMA coaches. There's gyms opening everywhere in little cities where I'm an MMA coach. Anybody, because you don't need credentials for that. And not that credentials say everything, okay? I've known some of the best really combat people that are the scariest people I've met. They don't have a certificate that says I'm good or bad. Yeah, these guys, the scariest people I've ever met, don't nothing about no certificate or a belt. This is what I'm saying. Like, if you go to the Philippines, a lot of the old guard in the Philippines, they're dying now, right? Very old. They're all pretty much almost gone. But at that time, in the 70s, 80s, even the 90s, when they were around, if you sat down and talked to these old guys that had the battle scars, they had stitches, they had cuts everywhere. Their body looked like Rambo. These guys engaged. They had like notches that were from the sticks. They had, holes. They looked like it was incredible. When you talk to these men about martial arts, oftentimes they would laugh at what was being taught, not because they disrespected it, because at the beginning there never were these systems. They just learned stuff, and everybody learned from all kind of things, and they applied a philosophy or certain according to region, right? As modern times approach and people wanted to preserve these arts a lot, they started to systematically try to, then we have to create a way of teaching this particular system and then call it a name and then make it something. And some people want it to evolve, some people want to keep it the same, But at the end of the day, the people that really fought, right? And not tournament fighting where you're full of, you've got all this gear and you're hitting each other. When these people have fought real life and death, and they had the scars and the holes to show you what they did, and these guys were in their 60s, and you talk to them about the application and what is being taught, they had a whole different version about how you should approach and apply it. That a lot of what is being taught today is just play. It's bullshit. Straight up. Now, I don't mind, whatever works for somebody works, whatever. Even if suddenly you have like 100 ways of doing an angle one in disarming a stick, or 100 ways of going, they laugh at that stuff. But you know what? Also with the modernization of these arts, if you teach it principle-based, concept-based, just what really makes this work, right? Of course, you got to learn mechanics and all that. But if you get what makes this really work, when we are going to go at it like that's it, it's either you or me, not a competition, or it's a whole different deal. And of course, you can't teach like that generally because nobody will come to class. You teach like that the first day, they're not coming up the next day, right? This is different cultures, like in the U.S., different culture. You go and open a school and start teaching this way in a regular city. In the U.S., you're going to have very little students. You're not going to make any money because nobody's going to come back the next day, right? But back in the old day, that's how these people trained. I can show you, and I'll show you, I can show you where I suffered, right? It's a different mentality. So it's not a critique from me. I understand, because as people had to make money, if you became a martial arts instructor and you want to make a living and you want to teach a certain style, let's say that Filipino style, the more techniques you have in your bag to show a student, the longer they're going to hang around to learn this 50 ways of disarming angle one and or responding to angle one, and the more money you make. If you go, man, really, it's about this and this. Yeah, all this stuff is good. Yeah, this drill will teach you how to flow. But it's about this. The art is about this big. When you condense it, for a talented person that can really catch it and do it, because not everybody can. That's another thing. Not everybody that walks to a martial arts school is going to be able to really do it. No, but everybody has the right to practice it and be fulfilled, be happy with it. If they can get something from it, absolutely, I'm all for that. But this fantasy that if you go and you learn something, suddenly you can do what other people can't do, that's just unrealistic. That's like anybody thinking that if I go to the gym and work hard, I can be Mr. Olympia. Well, not if you don't have the genetics. Martial arts is no different, but there's a lot of bullshit and fantasy that's being sold to the public because you need money. As a teacher, you need money, so you have to sell the dangling carrot to the student so he can hang around and, so you can eat, right? Because that's your livelihood. So I encountered a lot of that. So to find legitimate teachers, you find and you dig out the people that really had that experience. A lot of them, unfortunately, are not here because these guys were from back in the day where violence, they were from a violent place. They were bred and raised in violence, right? Different than a person that's never, you get somebody from a suburb, this is not the critique, it's just reality. Like when you see a lot of boxers that made it to the top, when you look at the amount of how many of them came from poor places, right? The ghetto, right? Inner city, rough lives, prison. It breeds a certain type of mental ability and capacity in you that when you express martial arts will be missing on a person that's lived a cushy life. But they sell you the story that you can do it all like the same. It's not true. Anyway, so you have to look into all of that when you're looking for an instructor for that particular. Somebody's going to teach you like really combatives, is different than self-defense or a combat sport. It's all good, but it's different. A person may not be interested in doing combat sports. It doesn't mean that they cannot learn something they can defend themselves. I know hundreds and hundreds of people that were just practitioners, devout practitioners of a traditional martial art that have survived many street situations. Real ugly, weapons and everything. But people have the impression that that's not going to save you. Again, it depends how and who you're learning from.